Is it really possible for a tiny tweak to your morning coffee routine to ignite your metabolism and put your body into full fat-burning mode for the rest of the day?
Check out the link in the video description now and transform your morning coffee into a metabolism-boosting super drink.
Tea state is an invention. It's a bureaucratic tool of governance for an arbitrarily defined landmass, an artifice made convincing through emotive storytelling. Although many countries have their long ago symbolic foundation story, in truth the vast majority of them have only existed as independent constitutions for a matter of decades. We, the nationals, are the result of millennia of migrations of ancestral hunter-gatherers, herders, farmers, merchants, students, industrialists, of colonists and colonizers, of people invading, fleeing, crusading, exploring, roaming, slave trading, uprooted for war, work, fortune and love. The dense interconnectedness of the human family, our genetic similarity, means that in terms of our biology, there are no different races. We can all claim ancestry from across the world. Nevertheless, our politics is obsessed with distinctions based on national identity. Many of the arguments against immigration rest on the idea that there is a true and pure national identity, which means some people belong, while others do not. Ethno-nationalism is particularly overt among far-right parties, even if the message has been softened from racial identity to cultural identity, to make it more palatable. But the cord that tethers us to a particular land, our national identity, is not innate. It is based on recent or ancient migrations, or the happenstance of your mother's location at the moment of your birth. We have to make our nations by binding together disparate, unrelated people into a sort of kinship, inventing stories to inspire us. These stories change and adapt to support this impressive feat of cooperation. Leaders play an important role, using narratives to continually support the national project. It's worth remembering this when considering the historically bizarre consensus that political parties have formed around migration, that immigration is a problem that must be curbed. Throughout our species' 300,000-year history, migration has been an essential survival tool, and it has fundamentally created the system we're all a part of today. Migration made us, entangling our social networks of cooperation, fusing and forging new cultural, technological and behavioral innovations, from languages to cities to nations. This might be hard to see in the context of today's geopolitical identities and constraints, in which migration is being portrayed as an aberration. But viewed in a wider lens, it is our national identities and borders that are the anomaly. Indeed, borders, where they existed historically, were for keeping people in, not out. Leaders were desperate to import labor for agriculture, military campaigns, industry and other economic concerns. Much of the vibrant diversity and wealth of our greatest cities is owed to pro-immigration policies, whether by coercion or persuasion. With plummeting birth rates and stagnant economies in Europe, economists broadly agree that immigration will be essential to maintain today's standard of living. Indeed, sectors including health, social care, agriculture, universities and logistics would collapse without the immigrant workforce. In parallel, it is also very clear that human movement, particularly from the global south to north, is inevitable. Indeed, it will increase as poverty and the climate crisis push people from unlivable places. Honest pragmatism demands that we manage this situation to all our benefit, rather than denying it or pretending we can deter people. So how have so many leaders backed themselves into a position where, left and right, they agree that immigration numbers must fall? Simply put, politicians have allowed foreigners to be blamed for the economic anxieties their policy failures have caused. During a period of little economic growth, as we emerge from the trauma of a pandemic to expensive food and energy prices, massive housing shortages and an influx of refugees from Ukraine and elsewhere, people who feel poor, ignored or left behind by their governments are easy prey for radical parties with a nationalist agenda that purports to prioritize them. These leaders promise to return the country to a mythical pre-immigration state when life for ordinary citizens was idyllic. Populist and nationalist parties have grown stronger and bolder over the past decade. Far-right parties are in power, part of government or supporting governments in several EU countries, including Hungary, Finland,